It's an honor to take these few minutes to share with you my experience with Wings of Unity and this manuscript. When the day...
Bennie, could you a little bit introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I am Bennie Callebaut. I'm Belgian, and I live now in Loppiano in Italy, in the city of Focolare, where most of the meetings of Wings of Unity took place, linked with the University Sofia, where I am professor emerit of sociology of cultural processes. But obviously, my experience is more than only a sociological analysis of how change in cultures proceed. But it helped me to appreciate and to be open for what happened when the day that Dr. Shomali and Professor Koda made this pact that was the beginning of Wings of Unity. I was there because I had to be careful about that the English of Piero Koda, that he could understand everything of the conversation with Dr. Shomali, because he is not very fluent in Italian. So this very innocent detail made me part of the whole adventure from the very beginning. And I still, after 10 years, because we are 27th April of 2016, even after 10 years now, it's still, for me, a time of wondering what God did at that moment. And in a certain way, it's very difficult to speak about, to find the words to understand what God is doing. But there are elements you can understand, and the manuscript is the proof that we can share, we can find the words. But it's what is so amazing for me after 10 years still. What happened in this pact was that Dr. Shomali and Piero Koda, and he told it marvelously this morning in his own words, they presented God himself with the demand that he should, on their unity, he should, on their completely openness to what he wanted to do, with their fraternity, with their relationship as a Muslim and as a Christian, that he would inspire them to go forward, to set passes, to make steps in unity of the human family. In the book, the first chapter, the introduction, is trying to explain why these two persons were prepared for long years to meet and to recognize in the other this desire to make a step in advancing the relationship between religions. In 2004, Chiara Lubich made a speech in this same occasion where in London, can religions behave as brothers? It is an amazing title. I discovered the speech years later, and it's very surprising. Can religions behave as brothers? Because, as Roberto Catalano always remembers me, it's are the persons of religions that can behave as brothers. But I always say this is something that continues to interrogate me, to put me question. Can religions behave as brothers? And I find these 10 years, the whole experience of Wings of Unity the work with the manuscript is something that gives me elements of answers. Because persons obviously can behave as brothers. But when Dr. Shamali always, also this morning, recorded that in a certain moment after 19 years, 18 years, 19 years, that he knew us, that he knew Callebaut, that he knew Focolare, that he knew the spirituality of unity, he said, I felt stuck. This word, I felt stuck, I'm not native English speaking, so I had to think, what does this mean, stuck? But I understood that there was something new in this experience, because he told me many stories of his youth. He told me how, in a certain way, he dreamed of a place when he was young to build a kind of community that would unite people from all over the world. I knew very well Piero Coda from his 18, 19 years, and I knew he dreamed to give his life for unity of the human family. So these were two figures who were prepared. They were prepared to love the brothers of other religions as brothers, to live in charity with them. But Dr. Shamali said, I was stuck. I felt we had to do something more. And that was the pact. If in the manuscript I could transcribe this quote of Dr. Shamali, it would be arrogant to, and he said it this morning, if I remember well, it would be arrogant to say to God, I can only use Muslim words and Muslim conversations to understand what you want, what you mean with unity for the human family, speaking to God. God speaks also in to other. That is probably one of the fundamental elements that I understood. The dimension of a relationship between people, persons coming from two traditions. This is probably new. I think in the manuscript at a certain moment comes forth, maybe never a Muslim made this step to ask a Christian, maybe never in history a Christian made the step to ask this to God. And what is remarkable is that in a certain way, till now, we, the whole team of Wings of Unity with Dr. Shamali and Professor Coda, we do not know what are the next steps, because our trust is that God knows, and we have to follow Him, not to impose our own. We must do all what we can to put at disposition of this adventure our forces, our intelligence. But the step that we made, I think, was to put our intelligence, our theological intelligence, our intelligence of our intelligence at the disposition of God to understand how to bring forth our own traditions in unity with one another. So it is easier to speak for 3 days about the manuscript than in 5 minutes. But you feel there is something, it's as if you are touching something that always is vibrating. I hope you can understand my English. There is something that still helps you to push you forward in this adventure, because you know God is wanting to that this unity can grow. One of the first days of the first meeting we had, for the first time, we were 3 days together. And there came the situation after, I think, 1 day and a half. We spoke about the crisis in the West, the difficulties of religion in the West, and came forth that probably part of the crisis of religion in the West has to do with the lack, a false image of God, and that people are, in a certain way, looking for another relationship with God, with the transcendence. And we said, but probably the remedy for the West will be our brotherhood between Christians and Muslims, especially we were Christians and Muslims at that moment. We were a small group, we were 12. So that probably, I feel this is the line, the big line of development of our experience in 10 years. But obviously, we are no more where we were 10 years ago. You heard already the development everywhere where we speak of this experience. The last time we were together in Brazil, you feel the same joy that we live when Dr. Shomali and his group comes to Lopiano each 6 months or every year. Lopiano is then at its best because it's something new, the testimony of Christians and Islam in this. I could tell many moments of reactions, but maybe one of the most interesting was the one of a big friend of a Sunni Muslim of Yemen who lives in Italy for 40 years. And he came to an evening where we presented the experience of Wings of Unity. He's an intellectual, and he appreciated enormously. And he said, I was amazed, I was stuck. Dr. Shomali is light years ahead in his vision. So I said, then we must be prudent because we must be very careful. Here we have an experience, a treasure. We must protect this experience. But we must also believe that we have to prepare the times as you understood, as you explained now. I finish with, because there were too many things to say, but I finish with one of the experiences that obviously as a professor, as an intellectual, as someone who is trained to analyze and to make synthesis, after a few years, for a meeting in the US, they asked me by Zoom to give my testimony of what Wings of Unity represented for me. And I was thinking, and then came to me that we had the Week of Unity like here, and at the end of that week, I had a very interesting impression in myself that came, why are these men and ladies coming from all over the world, Muslim, why are they so happy after 2-3 days when they are with us in Lopiano at the University Institute? We do nothing very special. We offer obviously a safe place, attention, hospitality. We never are as good in hospitality as you in the Middle East are used to, but we try our best. But I say, I cannot understand why the eyes after 1-2 days of these people coming, why they are so happy. It's not in proportion with what we did. We did simple things. We tried to be open and welcoming. And then I understood, because I remembered that the story of that Jesus comes at the end of times with the hidden Imam, the lost Imam, a story that I did not know. It was completely new for me. So, but I learned that something new from the other tradition, I do not have to try to understand. I have to welcome it, to be completely open, and asking God, help me to understand something if it's the moment that I understand something. But I accept, because it's what my brothers tell me and it's important for them. So this story of the hidden Imam and coming with Jesus, okay, it was part of mine now, but I did not, because it's Muslim language, it's Muslim insights. It's something that is in my tradition. But there's no more a problem. And then I said, but that means that when they are with us as Christians, in their mind, this is very important, the coming back at the end of times of Jesus with the Mahdi. So that is a very happy thing for them in their thinking. So if they live an experience of unity with Christians, it's a kind of anticipation of the end of times. Now I understand. It was a Zoom with the United States, and we had to finish but months and months later, someone of the team of Shia in the United States told me, you understood. Till then I was not sure that I had understood something, but these are elements of joy, inner joy for me, that even if our languages, our insights are different, and can be very different also, but it's something deeply enriching, and from time to time you feel the Holy Spirit, as we say as Christians, the Spirit of God, is helping you to touch the heart of the experience. So it's changing your mind. And I finish with that. In the first meeting, I remember very well that at a certain moment we said, well, this experience will help our religions to purify themselves, because there are probably things that are linked to human traditions and not to what God really wants for the future. So, and this purification is a big issue. And we remember as Christians that the Council, the Vatican Council, spoke about the hierarchy of truths. There are things that are more important in the gospel than other, and you must learn to discern the hierarchy of truths. I said, well, probably in Wings of Unity we are initiating to do the experience, to understand what is more important, what is less important. This morning for me, this was, again, this kind of experience, to understand what is the most important. Sorry I gave you just a few impressions, but I hope you will read the manuscript.
How many pages are there?
270, because it's 10 years of conversations, sometimes two times a year, sometimes one a year, and there was COVID also, so not it, but it are 15 chapters.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So tomorrow you will be talking more about this.